Hello, and welcome to Around the Political World with John Rothman. I am your host, John Rothman. If you're a fan of the show, please leave a review or share an episode with a friend or colleague. It helps other people discover the show, keeps us going, and as I like to remind you each and every day, it expands our base. Let's talk for a moment about the major stories dealing with this Friday the 13th. That's right, Friday the 13th. I'm not superstitious, or as I call it, stupidstitious. But this Friday the 13th is a time to reflect on where we are today. Let's begin with foreign policy. Russia has launched a major offensive against Ukraine, targeting their energy sources. The goal is to make the winter in the Ukraine even colder. And of course, Donald Trump has said he will end the conflict between Ukraine and Russia as soon as he's president, if not before. Well, we don't seem close to that at the moment, and evidently, the tensions between Russia and Ukraine are going to grow and expand. When it comes to the Middle East, the Biden administration is doing a full court press. All of their major Middle East officials are in the Middle East now trying to negotiate several things. First, a secure Syria, to ensure that the conflict with the overthrow of the Assad family will not expand. And secondly, to ensure that Israel will get back the hostages being held in Gaza by Hamas and others. This is a serious moment, and one of Joe Biden's key objectives before he leaves office is to secure those hostages from the hands of terrorists. Will he succeed? Well, we'll know soon because January 20th is fast approaching. And in France, there is a new prime minister. Of course, the real power in France is the president, President Macron. He is severely weakened, and whether or not he will survive to have an impact, that's a real question. And then there is the question of foreign leaders coming to Donald Trump's inauguration. He is talking about inviting the president of China and indeed the prime minister of Israel. Never in American history have foreign leaders participated in the inauguration of a president of the United States. This would be a first. Well, we'll see how it evolves. January 20th is, well, very close. And I can't wait to see what the outcome is. And then there is the question that Donald Trump has raised about pardoning the January 9th convicted individuals who assaulted the Capitol and tried to disrupt American democracy. Some say it wasn't an insurrection. I believe it was. And by the way, depending upon who you listen to, I listen to right-wing media and mainstream media. Right-wing media is saying, well, this new congressional report proves the FBI was involved in what happened on January 6th. And of course, the contrary is that it doesn't. I actually read the preliminary aspects of that report, and it indicates that the FBI was present, but not to organize or to disrupt or to create a problem. It is fascinating how a nation, through different eyes, can see a single incident with two different perspectives. But Donald Trump has said that on January 20th, he is going to issue a pardon within 9 minutes of his taking the oath of office. So I was asked the question, can he do it? And the answer is yes. He can have all the papers prepared. He can sign the papers. And yes, indeed, he can do what he says he's going to do. I picked up my copy of the January 6th committee report just to reread some of it, not all of it, but some of it. And clearly what Donald Trump is proposing, because he is calling those who assaulted the American Capitol, our capital, he is calling them heroes. And of course, they weren't heroes. They were, at Donald Trump's behest, trying to disrupt the electoral process, and indeed called for Mike Pence, the sitting vice president. Remember the words? Hang Mike Pence. And did you ever hear Donald Trump condemn that? No. Will he get away with this? Yes, because the power of the presidency is vast, and Donald Trump is going to use his pardon powers. Somebody asked me, do you think he'll really do it? And the answer is, I don't see how he can avoid doing it, because he's promised it repeatedly, before and after the election. And so we watch and we wait. And there is something else we have to look at. Donald Trump's nominees for his cabinet, sub-cabinet, and other positions in government are clear. And he is going to submit those nominees to the United States Senate for confirmation, at least those that have to be confirmed. Remember, White House staff and certain appointments don't have to be confirmed. Cabinet, sub-cabinet, the FBI, CIA, those kinds of things have to be confirmed. So here's the question. Will all of Donald Trump's nominees be confirmed? Will the Senate divide along partisan lines? And I don't think they will in the case of Marco Rubio. I think he will be confirmed as Secretary of State. But the others, and that interests me. Will the role of advise and consent, which is a task given by the Constitution to the United States Senate, be observed? Or will Donald Trump, who is already threatening, if you don't go along with me, I'll primary you? And of course, the first obligation of every politician, at least in their mind, is to get elected to another term. All of these questions hang. And I try, of course, in this podcast, to give you a quick summary of things to look for. If this were an interactive radio talk show, we would be talking about these issues extensively. Yesterday, standing at Walgreens picking up a prescription for my son, I saw a woman wearing a hat in the colors of Ukraine, emblazoned with the words Ukraine on them. I didn't speak to her, but I watched her, I listened to her as she spoke to the pharmacist. And I realized Americans, whether it is foreign policy or domestic policy, have real issues we care about. And the question is, how responsive will Donald Trump be to those concerns? Or is his course a fixed course? We will find out after January 20th, and there will be a lot to talk about. And let me assure you, I will be following this weekend all of the latest news from Donald Trump. Because, my friends, Time magazine made him Man or Person of the Year. And believe me, he deserves it. He deserves it, but it doesn't mean he's exempt from our eagle-eye criticism or support, whatever the case may be. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Around the Political World with John Rothman. Make sure to follow along and let me know your thoughts on the show by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts and sharing an episode with a friend or colleague so we can continue to grow and expand, which is, of course, our goal. You can interact with me on Facebook and on LinkedIn, and I appreciate all of your comments. Indeed, some of you stop me when you see me and offer your rather vigorous remarks, which I really enjoy. And to Gogo Zoger, the wonderful producer of this podcast, thanks so much, Gogo. Have a great weekend. I'll be back Monday with another chapter, if you will, in Around the Political World with John Rothman. See you then.